Let's jump to our last question. It's really not a question per se, but I'm going to do this. We talked about this earlier when we were talking about what to say when someone dies. And this came up actually a few weeks ago during the floods in Texas, the one where at Camp Mystic. And I saw this woman on TikTok, and I thought, I was floored by it, and you'll see it here in a second. But this is when Jesus is not comforting. And I'm just going to set it up because I kind of shortened hers up a little bit. She's a Christian. She was a Christian, Jesus person, the whole deal. This isn't coming from an atheist. This is coming from a person who believes in Jesus today and believed in Jesus before this situation happened. So keep that in the back of your mind. This is where her perspective is. So here we go. Just for the podcast, this is the picture of Jesus holding a little girl in his arm, and two little girls are running up to him. This is in heaven, and they've got Camp Mystic t-shirts on. Camp Mystic was the Christian school, the Christian camp that killed like 30-something little kids during the floods. And
oh my God. And he's standing in water. I just realized he's standing in water.
I didn't even notice that.
Oh, what kind of horrible.
Yeah. But this was very popular. What was that, a month or so ago? I saw this picture dozens of times on Facebook and others. This is an AI picture. But again, these little Camp Mystic t-shirt little girls are running and jumping in Jesus's arms. And this woman is responding to that. I'm sorry, I should have set that up earlier. So I'm going to restart her video just to give the people at home that are not watching it on podcast, they'll have a perspective of it. So here's what she says about that picture.
So why does this picture suck? As a parent who lost a young child in an accident, who received, in a very kind-hearted way, many images like this, after my child died, I'm going to tell you why this sucks. There were hundreds of people in our corner on the day that our son drowned. They were praying for us. They were petitioning God on our behalf. My own children, the siblings of Garrett, spent hours on their knees that day, fervently praying to God for a miracle. And it didn't happen. Garrett still died. After Garrett died, people came out of the woodwork to tell us, Garrett's in a better place. Garrett's with Jesus. Garrett is so happy to be with Jesus. And he would want you to be happy that he's with Jesus too. So let me tell you what this said to my mother heart. It said to me, your pain's really not that bad. What happened isn't really that big of a deal because look, Jesus! Jesus didn't heal Garrett because Jesus wanted Garrett back. And Garrett wanted to be with Jesus. Look at how happy they are. When a grieving parent hears over and over again, your son is in a better place, your child is in a better place, what it says to them is that you are not enough. Your arms were not enough. Your love, your nurturing, your support, your protection, it wasn't enough. He's in a better place with somebody better, doing better things. At the time, and still to this day, I cannot imagine a better place for Garrett to be than in my arms. Or in the arms of his father, or in the arms of his siblings, playing with his siblings, laughing with us, spending time with us as a family. It's been 11 years and it still doesn't make any sense to me why it happened, why God didn't grant us our miracle. I'm not speaking for all parents, but I'm telling you exactly what this did to me in the early stages of my own bereavement. More than anything, I felt like it invalidated my pain. Like I really didn't have the right to feel that insurmountable pain and that kind of like soul-crushing grief because Jesus, even with my devotedness to Christianity, even with my faith and belief in Jesus, it did not take away the pain of losing him. And so when I saw stuff like this over and over again, it said to me, it's really not that bad.
Dude, it was terrible. When I saw it, I was like, okay, I gotta stop watching. I'm gonna cry because it's like, Jesus, how many people probably do that? And they're not thinking, and you can forgive people for not thinking, but her perspective on that is so right. I mean, as if several of us have kids, maybe all of us, I don't know. We know all of us without a doubt can't imagine losing our children, and for someone to come say that, and her perspective of like, you're saying that person, that my child is better off without me. Well, fuck you. They're not.
And if she had
Jesus
called them out at the
that.
time, if she
Jesus
had called them,
said that.
yeah, and if she had called them out at the time, with how hurtful that is, she would have been looked at as, oh well, she's just emotional, or she doesn't really mean that.
Yeah,
she's bad.
Yeah,
or she's against Jesus or whatever. It's a no-win situation.
Yeah.
The problem I have with this is everybody tries to put Jesus up on this pedestal. Jesus was a horrible person. When all of this free miracles and stuff for the Jews. When the Gentile woman came to him begging for him to heal her child, first of all, his apostles said, Master, make her go away. Jesus' response to her as a Gentile woman was about healing her Gentile child, was that he came for the lost sheep of Israel. So healing her child would be taking food from the mouths of children and throwing it to dogs. Jesus was a garbage person. And this woman, if she is still a believer, I'm sorry. I know I'm going to speak vicariously through you. I feel for your pain. Absolutely. This might be why you want to give this shit up, because your Jesus said about this exact same situation, let the dead bury their dead. Mm-hmm. You are not supposed to grieve for those children. The book you are adhering to, the Jesus that you are complaining about, those were the red letter words in the book that you're following. If you don't like it, you might want to take that up with your God. I mean, I hate to be like that about it, but don't, if you follow religious tenets and then complain because people are doing exactly what those religious tenets said to do, that's your chosen path.
Yeah.
My day job, I teach sexual violence prevention to college students. And so I have a workshop called What You Say Matters. Mm-hmm. And one of the premises that I teach is that well-intentioned people can still say harmful things.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, you can hurt people on accident even when you mean well. Yeah. And so here's a whole list of things that you should never say. And so it reminds me of this, of the same thing when I'm teaching people, about how to respond when somebody shares that they're in a domestic violence situation. You don't say, well, why don't you just leave? Yeah. Why don't you say that? Because it doesn't take into account the fact that leaving is it's not easy for everyone to do for a plethora of reasons. What if you're undocumented? What if you don't have any financial support? What if? And also, it's the most lethal time for people in a domestic violence situation to try to leave. And also, it assumes that they didn't think about that, right? Like, it's kind of insulting.
Yeah. Your first thought, I'm sure. Yeah.
Like, sorry, I didn't think about that. Maybe I'll, thank you for saving me. But the same thing, like when religious people say things like, oh, this is, he's in a better place, or this is, part of God's plan. And, it just doesn't take into account, like reality and that, or the fact that, your specific situation this isn't about logic. This is about my feelings. This is about my devastation. Yeah. Right. This is about my safety, my well-being, and focus on that instead of just trying to either like fix it or like trying to convince the person that their situation isn't that bad when the worst fucking possible thing that ever could have happened to them happened.
Right.
Let's consider the perspective of her other children as well. They're sitting there. People are coming in and says, "Oh, your deceased sibling, they're in a better place," and they're going, "Wait a minute, why can't I go to a better place? Yeah. I'm here. This must be a terrible place.
Why is he chosen and not us?
I didn't get to go to Jesus."
Yeah,
that's got to mess with your mind.
Why doesn't God just dispense with all the bullshit, and instead of creating us, having us have an earthly existence, and then finally get the prize, why just dispense with the bullshit?
Yeah,
it makes no sense. Why put us here for a brief period of time and compared to all eternity anyways? Like, what's the whole point of this? If you're just going to snatch us away at various times at the most inconvenient time, and inconvenience is holding a lot of weight there, because it's inconvenient for me to lose a child. It's inconvenient for me to die at 95. It's all inconvenient. I don't want to die. Don't want people to lose people. But what was the whole point? Disturb you? That's ridiculous. I'm so worked up with the damn video. I just was like, I just want to kill everybody. I was like, this is terrible what people will say. And again, I'm going to give them a little bit of grace because they're not thinking it through. But that's the problem. You're not thinking it through. You're immediately jumping, well, Jesus solves everything. No.
It's another example of how religion poisons everything.
Yeah, that's a Hitchens thing.
Yes. And to what Larry was saying, those poor children, those poor survivors,
left behind.
Left behind.
Really, Larry really touched on something important. Those kids must be so damn confused because now they're learning that this is not the place to be. Well, then why the hell am I here?
Right.
What it just proves, if you go through the process, the 1, 2, 3 process, it proves that God's a sicko. You want to know how I can prove that? Is because he says that we're going to have to deal with this section where we're all right now. And that includes the people who are going to be savagely abused. They have to endure that. That I don't have to go into any kind of detail, but just imagine all the different ways that human beings are savagely abused.
Yeah.
And then those little girls in that drawing.
Absolutely.
And that I noticed right away too, Scott, that they had them running through water.
I had not.
Yeah.
That made me even more.
Drowning is considered one of the worst types of deaths. Just drowning, period. Your lungs filling with water. And those little girls were struggling to get out of a structure that was crumbling around them. And then they were pulled along in the flood.
Right.
So they
in the
fought
dark.
against it.
In the dark.
So, and I'm not going to go on and on anymore about that, but just what kind of sick savage says that I love you, but I want you to go through that first. And now you can come and see me.
Yeah. As if it makes
Let's
me
get
appreciate
that out of the
you
way, because that's
anymore.
exactly what Christianity is telling us
That's what they're
that
asking
we're
us to
supposed
believe.
to endure.
The-
And it
the-
makes me sick. It makes me sick.
The bottom line is these platitudes and prayer as well are things that the religious can do and say to make themselves feel better. And in their
That part
minds,
right
they think
there.
they're doing something for someone else.
That
The
part.
only result of it all is, oh, I feel better because I told them that Jesus loves them, or whatever the case may be. It's making themselves feel better.
Yeah.
It's
Soothing.
fulfilling, self-soothing, and it's virtue signaling, because that also makes them look good for the people around them, and it blends in with their community of thoughts and prayers. And we see how well that's been working.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to today's show. I really hope you enjoyed it. Do me a favor and like and subscribe to the show and tell a friend. That helps us grow and it lets us keep bringing you more voices from the other side of belief. Until we talk again, be kind to one another and remember that reason and compassion go a long way.